Hello, I'm Wendy. Today we're looking at some more Christmas card ideas. We're using salt effects in watercolour and it's a beginner's tutorial. In the tutorial I'm going to be working on a picture very similar to this one. I'm working on Bockingford paper, £140 weight, and the image size here is about 7 by 5 inches. It's a very simple composition that you can replicate the trees. Clearly, every time you do this, you're going to get very different effects with the salt. I do know that people struggle and find it quite difficult. I'm going to concentrate on explaining how to get the effects in watercolour and exactly what's happening. You'll be able to see as I zoom in onto this picture that you can get quite differing effects. Some of the effects, like the snowflakes that you can see there, are quite individual, and that's each individual grain of salt that's soaking up the paint. If it's a lot wetter and you've got more salt on there, then you can get more blizzardy effects when all these single snowflakes just join up into one, and you get more of the effect that you're seeing in the foreground and a little bit higher up in the picture. So you can see the different effects that you're getting with the salt, and we're going to have a go and try and reproduce some of these effects in the demonstration painting that I'm going to do. I was thinking recently and talking to some friends about this, and we were wondering if some of the times when you're not getting the effects that you want with the salt, that possibly the salt is old, possibly it's been sitting around quite a bit and has soaked up some of the moisture in the air. It's a possibility, I don't know. Maybe you could give some ideas about that in the comments or on my Facebook page, but it does sound quite possible, so I would suggest that you use new salt that's been sealed in a container and not salt that's been sitting around for a while. And also, I'm just using ordinary table salt, Saxa, something like that, very fine salt for this demonstration. I started out with a very simple drawing, and you can make up this drawing, you can copy the one that I've got, but it's just basically a group of silver birch, and you want to have maybe one that's a little bit bigger than some of the others, more of the focal point, and then you've got some drawings of the silver birch, some at various angles, maybe sloping a little bit, and ending at different places in your picture, so you've got this sort of feeling of recession. You've got the trees in the foreground and some in the distance. As you can see, it's a very simple picture to draw. You can get your own ideas and use a very soft pencil. I'm using a 2B here because at the end you want to rub pencil lines out, you don't want them showing. Try not to make them too uniform and make sure you've got different spaces as well between the trees. I'm going to go over again how I apply the masking fluid because I know people do struggle with this. I'm using PBO gum masking fluid, and there is a link in the description box, and I would highly recommend this masking fluid. What people don't realise sometimes is that masking fluid can go off fairly quickly. I think if you've had it for a few months, then certainly renew the masking fluid. It goes very globby and smelly and just doesn't work very well. You can see the consistency here of the masking fluid. It should flow very easily. And when you put it on, it should go on thinly, not thickly. And what I do is I use a fairly decent brush, but an old brush, and I protect it by rinsing it in washing up liquid, as you can see, every minute or so to protect it. And I can keep these brushes for a long time. You don't want to use, it's false economy to use a very, very cheap brush to put on the masking fluid, because you'll find they'll be ruined the first time you use them, and they'll go very hard and you won't be able to use them again. So I hope you find this helpful. As I say, I wanted to go over this again because people do struggle with it. You have to let the masking dry completely before you paint over it, otherwise your good brushes will pick up the masking fluid and you could ruin them. Now, if you're doing it this way with these materials, you'll find that the masking fluid will dry really quickly. And what I'm suggesting in this video, that you do a few of these experimental pictures, and by the time you've, say, drawn and masked out 4, your first one is going to be dry. So it shouldn't take that long. So again, I said, I hope this is helpful for you, and if you've got any other queries, just pop them in the comments. So here I'm looking in a little bit of detail on how to use salt when you're working in watercolour, because again this is something that I know people struggle with, and let's see if we can get some good results here. What I did first was I damped the paper, and then what I'm doing is putting a couple of colours on here for the background. No particular place. I'm using burnt sienna, and I'm going to put a bit of blue on there. Above that, possibly to stand for some sky, and then I'm going to put some darker colours, maybe to stand as shadows beneath the trees. But you can just put the colours, you can experiment and put them where you like. But if you look at this, you can see that I'm keeping everything very wet. And what I suggest is, if you're having trouble with getting salt effects in watercolour, then work a lot wetter than you think you should. You will always get effects with salt if you're working wet, but if you're working too dry, that's when you're not going to get any effects at all. So I suggest that you keep it really wet to start with, and then once you start getting the salt working, then what you can do is you can experiment and work on drier paper. So I've used burnt sienna and cobalt blue, just the two colours, and this is a mix of them to put the suggestion of maybe shadows under the trees. It's just getting different colours in there and getting tonal differences as well. So we've got some lights and darks, got some different colours, and you can see that it is all staying wet. The trouble with sometimes with working around a picture like this, you can start at the top, and by the time you work down the bottom, the top's got dry, and then when you put the salt on, you're wondering why it's not working. So you have to work quickly, you have to work around the picture, and you have to keep everything the same wetness as well. So there's quite a few things to think about. The bottom here I wanted to be white to stand for snow, so I wet it but put a tiny bit of the blue in there. Now I'm putting the salt on. I'm putting a lot of salt in the front because I want it to soak up all the paint to stand for snow. What you can do at this stage is you can wait a bit if you want. If you're looking at your picture, it's still looking wet and it's glistening, then you can wait a bit, as I'm doing, before you put the salt in some of the other areas. The drier the paint is, the more individual snowflakes you will get. Now, on all the experimental pictures I've worked on in this video, I have been working quite wet, so I'm not really getting a lot of individual snowflakes on there. But you'll see as they dry, they're all going to dry differently. I've kept filming this just so you can see that immediately you should be starting to get some effects with the salt. The salt is starting to draw up the liquid from the paint, and you can see that it's having this sort of effect. And you want to leave it, you want to be patient. Sometimes I leave it a day, but in a couple of hours it should be workable on, and you don't want to put the hairdryer on it, you just want to leave it. So this was how that particular painting dried. I think this was a couple of hours later, and I didn't use the hairdryer. You can see at the front that I've got this effect of the white snow because I didn't put very much paint on there, just a bit of blue to suggest the shadows in the snow. A few individual snowflakes showing up in the middle part of the picture, in the darker part, and then a bit more of a blizzardy effect in the sky. This was because it was quite wet, and most of the work I did for this video, I did work quite wet, so we don't get a lot of very individual snowflakes. I think this worked out quite well. I would suggest that at this stage you don't mess around with it, you just let it dry and leave it, and you might think it's not going to work out because you can get some really strange effects in the background and you think, oh, I really don't want to work with this, it's really not working out. But you'll be very surprised. Once you rub off the masking fluid, you paint the trees, you put the branches on, some of these strange effects that you're seeing can look really nice. And of course, if you're giving it as a gift, maybe a card, then people are just not going to know how you did it, are they? They're going to think it's wonderful. So here I've rubbed off the masking fluid. I didn't film it, but I put a slight shadow on the left hand side with very, very dilute paint, and I don't really think it's necessary, but it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. And then I'm using dry brush effect to drag a small brush across to give the effect of the bark. I'm working in a similar way to what I did on my last video, and I've linked that in the description. I'm working quite quickly. You don't want to labour this. I'm quite a loose painter, so I do work quickly. I don't like to render things too much, do too much detail. I like to work quickly, as you can see. And the colour mix I'm using here, same two colours, cobalt blue with burnt sienna, and then just dotting about a few little bits. So we've got these marks standing for the marks themselves that are on the silver birch. Switching to a rigger brush, I've speeded this little bit up. The video just before was at normal speed, but this is speeded up just a little bit because it gets a bit repetitive doing these branches. As a tip, try and do if you remember, do the branches that are on the trees in the distance first with a slightly less dark tone and maybe smaller, thinner branches because they're in the distance. And then you can overlap them with the darker branches in the foreground. So just finishing off with a few little twigs on the end here. I decided to put a little bit of warmth on here with some leaves, some of the autumn leaves that were left on the trees. I think it adds a bit of life and it's quite a nice touch, but it's up to you whether you want to put those on or not. So this was the finished painting, and I put it in a mount. This is a 10 by 8 mount with the aperture 7 by 5. It was a little bit too big, the aperture, for the painting. This was another mount I had, which was a 6 by 4 aperture. It works very nicely, I think, but you do lose a lot of the salt effect, so it's up to you how you decide to cut down or mount the images that you've got. If you're using aperture cards, then move the card around to give you a nice composition showing the salt effects. If you're cutting and sticking onto a card, then you've got more flexibility in the image that you put onto your card. I'm going to show you now two other paintings that I did, but not in the detail of the first one. They both worked very much the same, and I've speeded up the washes on this first one. Again, you can see that I'm working very, very wet, and for your interest and information, I'll tell you a little bit about the materials. I'm using Bockingford, £140 weight, and it's not taped down or anything, but I am using a larger piece than maybe you think I need. One of the reasons for that is that if you use a small piece of paper for using this very wet work, then what you find is it cockles much more easily. So I would suggest you, if you're working small, then divide your paper up but don't cut it up, and you'll find it easier to work. It won't cockle as much. I think I'm working wetter on this one than I did on the last one by the looks of it. Using the same colours, which is the cobalt and the burnt sienna. You could use ultramarine. I find sometimes ultramarine can be a bit too cold looking with the burnt sienna and can granulate a little bit too much. And but you can try it. Try any colours that you want. For simplicity, I'm using these two colours that always work well together. So again here, everything is wet, and I'm putting more salt in the front because I want that to be really white. And maybe I waited a bit again to put the salt. Yeah, this was quite a bit wetter than the other one. You can see just manoeuvring the paper a little bit and looking at how much the paint is shining as well. If it's very shiny, you know it's very wet. I'm putting a little bit of salt on there. See how it turns out. So this was how this painting dried out. I felt the middle tree there was floating a little bit, and You'll see in the mounted ones I actually did a little bit of extra work so that I anchored that tree more into the ground, and I think I did a little bit of extra work on the demonstration painting as well to do the same. And this is what it looks like in the larger mount. Again, it was a little bit too big for it, and the smaller mount. And this is the third one that I did, and this is speeded up 4 times, so I don't paint this quick. I do hope that you've enjoyed watching this video and that you are in a better position now for working with the salt, because I do know that people do struggle with it. I think mainly it's because you're working too dry. So work wet and work very quickly, and I hope you get some good results. You can post your work on my Facebook group, and it's really always interesting to see the results that people get, and I will always get back to you. If you like my channel, you like what I'm doing, then do subscribe if you haven't done so already, and a thumbs up is always useful too. Bye for now, and I do hope that you have some very successful paintings using your masking fluid and your salt effects. Bye for now.